So here I am again in nature. Pure unadulterated nature, as it has been for, in this country at least, 10,000 years since the last ice age. Though even covered in ice, it's still nature. And not quite pure, because I'm walking on footpaths. Quite big tracks, in fact, that go up and down this chalk slope. I don't know if this was a quarry or a road or... It's been reclaimed by nature anyway. I wanted to pick up on one thing from the last video. That issue of mysterious origins. Science is very good at kicking the can down the road. It thinks it knows the past. We have pictures from James Webb Telescope this week of galaxies 13 billion years ago. And the light has taken 13 billion years to reach us, so we're seeing them as they were 13 billion years ago. So that's not mysterious. We can see that far into the past. And if we compare a picture of a galaxy as it appeared 13 billion years ago with anything here, I mean me, let's take a random leaf. Let's take this fern. I quite like ferns, very ancient plants. You can imagine there are dinosaurs walking around when you see a fern. There we go. Now what origin does that have? It's a picture. It's a picture like a galaxy. And we know that it must have some origin. So yeah, seeing a galaxy 13 billion years ago and seeing a fern a fraction of a second ago, it's still the same problem, it hasn't gone away. So science then says, well, it all began in a Big Bang. But then of course, what caused the Big Bang? Everything, that's an old argument, isn't it? It goes back to the medieval first mover, proof of God type of thing. Let's not go there. Let's simply acknowledge that we don't really know. It's just here. I mean, we can dress it up in narratives. We can talk about it, like I'm doing here, unfortunately. But the thing to really acknowledge is the same wonder that was here before all that knowledge. That it's here. Extraordinary. Absolutely mind-blowing. That it's all just here. No one made it. It's got no tags on it. There's no blueprints, no patents. It's all just here. Quite remarkable. It's kind of reassuring in a way to know that it will never be explained. You can't replace this with any story. You can't replace this with any theory. You can't replace it with anything. It is what it is. And when artists don't try and replace it, they maybe try and do homage to it. And maybe scientists don't try and replace it. They pay homage to it by studying it. But it's the beginning. It's the beginning of our experience. It's the beginning of our knowledge. It's the beginning of our wonder. As I fall over and destroy the forest floor. Yeah, it's just here. And there's nothing else to say. And that is one of the most remarkable things about nature. That it doesn't come with a story. or an explanation or a justification. There was no reason for it. It achieved no purpose. Darwin's right about that. So there's no direction. There's no logic to this. Not on the grand scale. Maybe that's one of the faults of religion, that by suggesting it was made by a sentient being kind of detracts from it. Stops it from speaking for itself. And I shouldn't really be speaking, really, because I'm not really adding anything to it myself. I already noted. But one thing that's interesting is we tend to see in nature a reflection of ourselves. So we don't add to nature when we talk about it. What we do is hold up a mirror to ourselves. So nature's gone through many turns. Famously, it's become a resource, a source of raw materials for industry, so that we can make things. It's quite a dominant view now. I mean, what's the use of wasps? As people often point out. There's no industry behind wasps, but they're here. I've stopped walking because I'm stuck. Let me seek a way out of here first. Either a tree's come down, or see, you think we're in control of nature. Already it's thwarted me. I must venture off down here. Look at my bucket. Look at the forest. Oh, some trees come down. Not a really big tree even. There's a bird tweeting. Loot it maybe by the sounds of it. Thrashing through the undergrowth, making way too much noise. And I mentioned God a few times. And before this resource view of nature, there was the view that it was ruled by a god, a king. And that strangely coincides with the way society was organised in those days, around a king, a monarch. So the idea of nature being lorded over is a reflection of our society. And now, as we live in a capitalist world where everything's driven by manufacture, resources, profits and ecology, strangely we now view nature the same. When I say I'm in nature, I have a fence, territory. So yeah, humans like to put up these things. Ooh, there's a speckled wood eye, I guess. There's a butterfly. It's a peace and quiet. And other views of nature. Before the 1700s, nature was viewed as frightening. Where I am now would have been the hangout of criminals, thieves, bandits, social outcasts. And the civilized people would have stayed in the cities where they were safe. And then, as I understand it, around the 1700s, 1800s, there was a big shift in the West. And the Romantics started to view nature as a place of wonder and sublime experiences. The dramatic actions of the powers and forces of nature. The waves, the thunder, the lightning, the winds. These all became very inspirational to an emotionally charged middle class, well, an aristocratic class. So nature then opened up, and that's very much where we live today. In a nature that's opened up, where we have the romantic view of it, which unfortunately has created the culture of conservation, which I'm opposed to, and even worse, the American idea of wilderness. Some perfect, untouched, pristine wildness away from humans, which is ridiculous. You can't get away from humans. Why would you want to go away from humans? We're nature, right? We've seen humans doing things unnaturally. No, this fence. This wasn't planned, incidentally. Again, I've got a camera. Thought I'd spoil my walk by talking. And I suppose the real problem here for the planet isn't conservation. I mean, that's like going back to God again, isn't it? That's going back to a view of a master who's in charge. Nature was never like that. Humans have no purpose. We weren't created with a purpose in mind. We just happened. We found ourselves here. Completely miraculously. Absolutely miraculously. There's no explanation. We shouldn't try and explain it. Oh, we can. It's nice to have a story. We evolved. We were apes once. Yeah, it's good. But it doesn't ever replace the mystery and the magic that it happened. So why are we conserving it? It's not our job to conserve it. I mean, if we live in such a way that we destroy it all, and we don't like that, isn't there a problem with the way we live? Isn't that the thing we change? And that means asking some very fundamental questions about what modern life is about, which no one's asking. And conservation just covers it up and goes, well, it'll be okay. We'll conserve it. And we can carry on doing what we're doing. Oh, now we're getting into the beautiful areas. Look at this. Oh, I'm not a photographer. But there's a peacock sitting on the buddleia. Unknown to anyone except me now. Happened to have stumbled in on its paradise. And slightly less romantically, this horse chestnut, which is somewhat blighted and losing its leaves. And unfortunately I missed it. There were a couple of, I think maybe commas, checking each other out. And another plane. And another fallen tree that I've got to navigate. This is going to be a long video. I'm not going to edit it. Well, it's going to be a bit of an adventure. Yeah, the whole point of this is not to edit it. This is slow TV. Every bit of this is nature in some way or another. Not always romantic, not always well scripted, and not necessarily any reason for it. It just is, and that's the thing. That's the thing. It just is. It's not heavily processed. It's not cut to create a chosen narrative. It just is. Oh, I've stumbled on an interesting place. Now, talk about nature. Well, of course, there's almost the remnant of human activity. Now that hole could be a nice storage place. There's a big sign saying private, stay out. And I don't have any intention of going in. Not today anyway. This is actually very private. Now another video on that. Privacy, territory, property. See, the birds don't care, they fly over those boundaries. And the humans don't care. But if I fly over that boundary, suddenly the human cares. See, we're bad to ourselves, aren't we? Humans are bad to themselves. Well, so much for the fence. It's heated out. And that's a fact, without breaking any trespassing problems, we can actually... Okay. I'm going to take a risk here. I've been threatened with being shot. This is the UK, not America. And I suppose if someone was to shoot me, for what? What kind of crime am I committing? A crime of curiosity. Yeah. Oh. Any historians know what that is? So that's the rambling video today. Property. That's a strange thing, yeah. And if there was a guy standing here with a shotgun, true, you might indeed take him seriously. But the man who owns this, or woman, is nowhere to be seen. And in there lies the difference between humans and animals. A troop of monkeys needs to beat the boundary every so often to make sure there are no intruders. But for humans, we have a big system of property. And we hire people to beat the boundary for us. And that concept gains greater weight. I mean, maybe the guy doesn't even exist anymore. Maybe there's no one on that territory. It is just a concept, just a thought, just a piece of paper saying that someone lives there. And that piece of paper now has a meaning. Far beyond what it originally meant. And there are lawyers and a whole industry built up about protecting the meaning of that piece of paper. Property ownership contract. Now, not getting into a huge discussion on that. There's a Nash equilibrium thing. We all agree to that because We respect the fact that he's got his property because it enables me to have the same rights to property myself. But as has been often pointed out, this only works when there's equal rights. The moment you get disenfranchised sections of the population and the system no longer benefits them, why should they? Where's the gain in this system? Here we go, somebody's been busy at work. Squirrels chewing hazelnuts. So the system's not entirely cast in stone. It's a dynamic thing. It depends upon the agreement and the cooperation of people. And yeah, it's flexible, as I think I demonstrated there. Plus in this country anyway at the moment, property is a practical thing. Or territory, should we say. No harm's done. There's no real will. Seriously, who cares? And really, if there was no ill will and harm done, everything would be a lot better. And I mean everything. Okay, so we've turned around a fair bit in here. And I'll just underline that actually. There was no ill will. Everything would be better. And that's really the most important thing us humans can sort out. Remove ill will between ourselves. And that involves swallowing a lot of shit. I mean, not, oh wow, look at this. Right, video's supposed to be about nature. I mean, it is, because I'm talking about all the various ways in which humans and nature are connected. Look at this. Wow, aren't they spectacular? Wow, look at that. Some kind of bracket fungi. Look at the size of them. I love playing around with these things. In terms of narrative, I mean, obviously the scientific narrative, you can see the detritivores, you can see the detritivores returning this wood and all the nutrients back into the system. Wow! Yeah, we've seen these before. It's one of the problems, isn't it? We get desensitized to things. But you see them for the first time again. Aren't they extraordinary, really? They're not like flowers. They're not like anything. Perhaps if they moved it would be more impressive, but they don't. This is the way they are. I love all the folk tales as well. I love the idea of seeing a goblin coming out one night and sitting on there. Or the half people, or the fairies come midsummer. And the veil between worlds is drawn aside. So the people, the twilight regions, mix with the people of the world. It's all good fun. Maybe it's true. Yeah, that wonder, that magic that used to exist in nature. When we dismiss it now as fairy tales. but it underlies a mystery. And it's still here. It hasn't gone away. None of this makes sense. And I want to point out it's not romantic. Ouch. The tree is hard. But it can be romantic. It can be beautiful. And I picked a nice sunny day to come out, but it can be rainy. And it can be cold. And it can be frightening. And I'll just say something on that. To many people, nature is frightening. Or it can be frightening. I've been asked before, what if you meet somebody in the woods? And I say, well, what if I am that person? You know, we shouldn't be intimidated. I have as much right to be here as anyone else. And if he's some Hollywood villain, with some massive knife or something, well, what's the difference between that and meeting a tiger with massive teeth? You know, it's all awesome stuff in the original meaning of the word. You've got to look after yourself for sure. In the UK we don't have tigers. And to be honest, we don't really have people with big knives either. And people don't hang out in forests. Because they're cowards mostly. Yeah, maybe you need a bit of bravery just to get through some of the initial barriers to nature. Very easy to sit at home in front of the telly. You know nothing's going to go too badly wrong. Whereas out here, I'm not disclosing where I am or how long I've been going. But you know, a trip, sprained my ankle, and no one's here to help me. So yeah, be careful. A little bit to help the forest break down all the wood. Right, this is clearly a lot harder to move than I originally thought. And there's a strangely large number of trees have come down. Must have picked up some strong winds at some stage. That was a wood pigeon. And another one flying over. See, even in the depths of a wood, and this is pathetic really compared with some woods. In the UK, what, 20 miles at most from civilization. You can hang out in Canada or Brazil, where you can get hundreds of miles from civilization. But wherever you are, as I pointed out in the first video, you're surrounded by nature. And we all have the same mysterious origin. We're all brothers and sisters. At some level. I looked up the other day. We're 98.5% related to chimpanzees apparently. If you look at all our DNA together. And that makes humans 99.9% related to each other. So, I mean, even the furthest strangers on the planet are like 0.1% genetically different from you. They're virtually family. I mean, they are family. These trees, my God, they're 50% related to me. We're family. Right now, it's not making my life easy. But to be fair, I did put myself in this situation. Wow. There's a big one come down. You can see the soil there. Now, nature. Do we include geology? Well, we can include that. It's an exit hole. So yeah, I got my boardies and my camera. This is the thing, and this will be the last thing. We need to learn to listen. That's what's missing these days. Because we live in a world of people competing for attention. And that's why I'm not going to edit this. I don't care if anyone watches it. There's the train. I'm not competing for attention. I don't care. I'm out here looking at the stuff that I love. So I got what I want. And I'm only making the video because, I don't know, I wonder if I would like to see something like this myself one day. I'm not pushing an agenda. I'm hoping, although I'm doing all the talking and the camera's pointing at me, I'm hoping this speaks for itself. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. This must speak for itself. And all its randomness and its meaninglessness and its beauty and its sublimeness and its ordinariness. And maybe its slightly rubbishness. Let's face it, this particular section of the forest I'm going through is a right old mess. But it's beautiful as well, isn't it? There's no order to it. Things falling here and there, things making their lives wherever they are. It's just not tidy, it's not clean, and yet somehow it just all fits together, doesn't it? Yeah, and there's one other thing I wanted to say. So what have I been out here for, I don't know, half an hour? In my experience, it takes 3 days. It's not a commitment many people can make. But if you come out into a place like this, and you do it for more than 2 nights, then something amazing starts to happen. Your mind goes quiet. You're not narrativizing. You haven't got a voice like me hammering along behind the video. You can just see things as they are. You just see them. No questions, no stories. Look at that. Never seen by anybody ever before. Snapshot in time. Come back in 3 months and those leaves will be brown and falling. Just a little snapshot. A little moment of perfection. Yeah, if you can spend a couple of nights. And wow, yeah, that's an experience, isn't it? It's not sublime. It can be quite awkward. It can be quite boring. Now, these are all barriers. The fear of being bored. The fear of being a stranger or a loser or mad, yeah. Out in the forest like a mad person. Rejected by society. Ooh. Yeah, these are the gremlins. These are the things that stop us. These are the things that stop us from seeing. And blind us to what's really there. The irony, of course, is the mad people are the ones fighting for attention. Fighting for their position in society. Fighting for status. Protecting their reputations. Worrying about who they are. And also, with all that, the anxiety of what if it all falls through? What if everybody hates me? What if it all goes wrong? Ooh. Well, one thing this forest definitely isn't worried about is what if it all goes wrong? Because it just is. That's the whole point. There's no right and wrong. Not on a fundamental level. Which is also quite challenging, isn't it? And then you see the lion eating the gazelle, and you think, oh my God, what a catastrophe, what ugliness, what evil, that beautiful creature has been brought down, having its life drained from it. Unreconcilable. And yet, there's no cataclysmic crash of thunder. It's not like there's a schism that splits the world in two. And the other deers all go looking for revenge. Nature's not like that. Things just are. Yes, all those humans looking for revenge, looking to fix stories and justify what things have happened to them. I am the most, what's the word I'm looking for? I've had the most injustice anyway. I am deserving of better attention. Yeah, more fighting for attention. And I'm absolutely not editing this. No one will ever watch it. Yeah, it should speak for itself. Well, we have a sign. A sign that is long gone. All things fade. And nature carries on. Oh, maybe that's a little robin. Yeah, so I'm going to wind this up. I think that's everything I wanted to say. But yeah, what I didn't say in the previous one was that thing about the barriers to seeing things as they are. And also the projection that we see in nature, the reflection of ourselves. So some people see the sublime beauty, some people are afraid. And yeah, one day it's one way, another day the other. Just let it all be. That's the point. It's just the way it is. Yeah, there's no right way. But it is extraordinary because in all the turmoil, and this is what people always say about nature, or say too much, in all the turmoil of modern life, when you come here, it enables you to open up. And be yourself. And just accept things the way they are. Not judging them one way or the other. I mean, you can imagine some landscape designer having a fit over this. Or some artist painting it and trying to improve it. And it's funny though, the creator of it all, whatever that mysterious creator is, who was doing magical things long before mankind, and from which mankind came, by whatever means, totally without guidance from humans. This is what they've made. I think we're not really in a position to judge it, are we? Beyond comprehension. that should silence us.